Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. But it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who'll bring the job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. Because it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. And it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy, and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Yes, it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, part of these United States, Western Hemisphere, North American continent, on this planet Earth, the only one we have. Third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect, live with you for TKE Tonight, I should say. Well, same, similar, for the 10th of July, 2024. I want to apologize to an extent that we were not here last night. A very, very deadly thing in what we do is to not be here steadily. And I just simply could not be here last evening because just had some medical things to take care of. And so we did that. And I'm eagerly awaiting the results because my gut tells me they're not going to be very good. My gut says it's not going to be great. And so there's that. But I also wanted to let you know, if you're used to the program at all, and I know that this new weekly or weeknight forum is different for some of you. Some of you are brand new to us, and we're immensely grateful for that. And you may not be used to us in our show, but one of the things I have always done on this show is kind of peel back curtain a little bit and be honest with you about what's happening, in my life, and not to bore you with it, because most of you just don't care, and I understand, and I take no offense to that. It just is what it is. But I do try to peel back the curtain occasionally because I'm just a human being. I do this. I think we're relatively good at it. We try to be professional. We try to be, we are honest. We try to be and put on as professional a program as humanly possible. or as technologically possible from here. But occasionally that means pulling back the curtain. And again, it's you have your own things that you are dealing with in your life, all of you. And we are here as well. This is a big year in this household. I mean, we have a wedding coming up, and we've been fortunate enough to be, we had COVID in December. We're getting married in January. It's an election. It's the single most important election year probably at least since 1860, if not 1932. There's a lot happening here, and we just try to pull back the curtain occasionally and just kind of talk to you a bit about what's happening, because we're people here, we're human beings, and even though I'm blessed enough to do this and really, really happy to do it with you and somewhat for you, if you will, we're human, and we have things, and so wow. Wow. So it's been a rough couple of days here. So the testing that I had to do last night, I don't think it was for a very good reason. And I'm not expecting a lot of good news to come out of it. And the other thing, of course, is we have a family member who's not doing well. And that's Guy the cat. He has cancer. He has skin cancer that is literally eating away all of the skin around his chin, under his neck, and it is creeping up toward his mouth. He's in a decent amount of pain. If he should bump it or knock it, it sounds like a cat fight in here. And he's done it a couple times today. We're bleeding again, and really all we can do, there's nothing to be done for him, really, other than to try to see the signs and know when it's time. And we were fortunate enough to go see an excellent veterinary practice yesterday that I wouldn't say they specialize in it, but it is one of their specialities. And we got the official word that there really isn't anything to be done. And as he's on the exam table purring like crazy and rubbing up on everybody and kind of enjoying the visit, really. And in the last 24 hours, it's gotten very bad. And so we're not sure when we're going to have to say goodbye. And it's an odd thing. I think it's a very odd thing that we, as humans, we fear death. I wish I could remember. There was a statistic, and I'm blanking on it. Percentage of health care dollars spent at end of life. It would help if I could spell. Yeah, the total amount of money in the American healthcare system, which we know is no real system, it's a corporation. It's a money making effort. Bring in the premiums, never pay out the benefits, and then you just pocket the money. But it ranges from about 8.5 to 11% of all the total healthcare dollars, and healthcare is about 1/5 of the American economy. And in a $30 trillion economy, that's $6 trillion. And then, if we even say that 10% of that is spent at end of life, it's $600 billion. I think my math is correct. Somebody will correct me, of course, as they should, if I'm wrong. When it comes to our furry family members, we are more frugal, we're more practical, and when it comes time, we seem to know how to say goodbye. Or if we don't know, we at least know that we have to, and we tend to do the right thing. Maybe some of us wait a little too long. Maybe some of us even a hair too soon. And I don't mean dramatically soon by months or years. I mean like maybe could have made another week or so. And that's the decision that we have to face now. An excellent veterinary healthcare practice that we just met yesterday. Reviewed all of his records, took all the time with us that we could take. They didn't rush us through it. Examined him, they looked at him and just said there really isn't anything to be done. They didn't even say there really isn't. There's nothing to be done for him other than allow him to be comfortable. And you'll start to see the signs when he's ready. And today was a real downslide. And I only wish I've had to say goodbye to way too many furry family members in my adult life. None of them have been easy, and they shouldn't be. We tend to think of these very, very pure souls as, in certain areas of the planet and in all too many areas of this country, we tend to think of them as disposable. The minute that they become inconvenient, we just throw them away. If they become too sick, we throw them away. How many senior dogs are given up into shelters across this country because they've become old, because they can't walk like they used to, they can't do the stairs, they can't make it outside in time, and they become throwaway. And if you're new to the program, you would know that I've said this quite a number of times, that I think the only solution to the animal abuse problem in this country is that we need to stop treating them like property. That literally the laws have to change to give domesticated animals, and that means farm animals too, by the way, dogs, cats, birds. I don't think birds are necessarily house pets, but people will disagree, and that's fine. But anything that you might keep in your house legally. But I also think that extends to, farm animals. But we need to change the laws nationally. And I realize that these laws go state by state, but we need to change the laws nationally to give these purest of souls a better designation than just property. My idea, and I don't know if it's perfect, my idea would be tantamount to children, to give them the status somewhere in the neighborhood of children. And that they're certainly not property, but yet they're not fully autonomous either. Children have guardians, et cetera. But it would seem to me that that's really the best way to do this, is to give these souls the added dignity, maybe, of being something more than property. There has to be something better. It just has to be. I don't know. I'm not saying. Well, no, I am saying that I think I know what that is. I happen to think it's a status somewhere tantamount to children. That we remain the guardians, but that they have rights, and that if we're not treating them well enough, that somebody's there to speak up for them. But it's just my, I don't know, it's my opinion. But at least for here in our household, it's a rough stretch. Daisy the dog, who happened to come from the southern Confederate state here in this very divided nation, who was one of those throwaway souls. 6 months old in a municipal shelter that, of course, southern state, we don't spend rich people's tax money on such things as keeping stray dogs alive. Who would ever think of such a thing? So they were just going to kill her. And on her death day, as it was explained to us, on her death day, she was rescued by a rescue in New Jersey, pulled by a rescue in New Jersey and brought to New Jersey, and we adopted her from there. And she's beginning to figure out that God will be leaving us soon. So yeah, I don't know how many days I'll be with you in the upcoming days. I'll try. And I also know that there's a whole section of folks who might watch this on a recording, and it could be tomorrow or a few days from now, weeks or months from now, and think, well, geez, suck it up, sunshine. This is life. And it is. It is. It's part of it. I get it. And we take these souls in knowing that they will not have the lifespan that we have. But we do it anyway. And I think what's different about them isn't even just the purity and the honesty of it. It's that they really are with you every single day. I've mentioned on the program before that I lost my dad almost 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years ago this. No, I'm sorry, 8 years ago. 8 years ago. I apologize. It'll be 8 years ago this December. And I have not been the same since. And I don't expect that I ever will be. But even that, I didn't see him every day. I didn't talk to him every single day. Your furry family members live there with you. They're in your home. Their presence is there with you every day. And when that presence is removed, there's a real hole. There's a real hole in your life. And I suspect, well, I happen to know because I've been through this too many times, that the only thing that's worse than the whole is knowing it's coming. And not being able to do anything about it. Now, I've mentioned on the program quite a lot that I've been very fortunate, I think, to have rediscovered my faith in recent months and years. And, you know, even though it was only really this year that I started attending church again on a regular basis, and you know, became a formal member of a church here. I mean, some weekends I'm just not even healthy enough to go. So, but we watch on, our church does an excellent job of putting the services on YouTube, and we watch and we take part and we feel like we're there. And I mean, as much as you can through a screen. But I must admit that one of the truly cruel things in faith is that these just most wonderful of souls don't have the lifespan that we do. And I would, I mean, there's nothing I wouldn't give. I would have given my time to every single one of them to keep them with me, in the hopes that we could all leave this place together and move on to the next. So it's been a rough couple of days here, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. And if you've tuned in for politics and the big story of the day and all of that, I will get there. But you know, at the end of the day, we're human beings here. George is a human being. He has a wife. He has money concerns. He has a house to take care of. He has family. And everybody at GCPR is in the same boat. They have bills to pay, homes, significant others, family. And you know, we're not, I suppose to an extent, we're public figures. I've never had anybody recognize me on the street and say, oh yeah, you're so-and-so. But I mean, I do occasionally mention the program and somebody says, oh yeah, I know your program, and I listen to it. So we're public figures, I guess, to a point. But we're human beings. We're not special. I'm not smarter than anybody. I'm sure as hell not better than anybody. I'm tired. I'm sick. I'm old. And I'm terribly sick of losing souls that deserve to be here way longer than me. Way longer. So it took me almost 25 minutes to explain to you where I was missing last night. It's terrible. It's probably not the best way to do this, is it? But I guess to a point, though, I would like to warn you all. And maybe warning isn't the right word, and it sounds rather ominous. But I do think that there's a very strong chance Um, I mean, we're scheduled to be with you here tomorrow night, not on Friday anyway, but scheduled to be back with you on Sunday. I think depending on how it shakes out here in the next few days, especially tomorrow and Friday. I don't know what'll be here. I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow night. We're not scheduled to be with you on Friday, and I have no idea what's coming on Sunday. We still have lives to do. I went to work today. I went to the office when I would much rather have been worked from home and had him on my lap all day. But that's not how this goes. We're adults. Sometimes adulting is really not fun. Going to work and answering phone calls and talking to angry customers it seems so minuscule. And I think one of the very bad things that I do as a person, because I do this, because I am an extremely active member of the Democratic Party, because I am on my local committee, my county committee, my state committee, is that I do tend to look at everything through a political lens. And sometimes there are just things you should not look at through a political lens. But even this I kind of do, because we're having a lot of debates in this country about life, about what a full life is, what a fair life is, what a just life is. There is a faction in this country trying to tell the majority how to live their lives, trying to dictate to you what is acceptable and what isn't. A very vocal, albeit well bankrolled minority, in a very Taliban-like fashion, is trying to force its beliefs on you, except that its beliefs are hollow, and they are based in no scripture of any faith, of any religion. They just happen to be well bankrolled. They're trying to tell you how to live. They're trying to define for you what life is. And am I talking about abortion? Yeah, but only to a point. Project 2025 would have women returned back to a time where they cannot own property, can't have credit cards, can't have jobs. It would return women to the 1800s, at best. They might be able to hang on to the vote, but there's people involved in this movement who would return women to an almost Old Testament status. Within the bodily autonomy debate, within the women's healthcare debate, which is what abortion is, this very well bankrolled yet small, this very well bankrolled, very vocal yet small minority is trying to tell you how to live. They're trying to define for you what life is. So if you're a woman and you're pregnant, your life is to give birth. And then once that life is born, we'll ignore it and shame you for having it. If you are too poor to take care of it, we'll give you no assistance and continue to demonize you It's the same so-called pro-life movement who would deny children health care, who would deny veterans health care, deny seniors Social Security and dignity toward the end of their life. The same ones who will send Americans to war at the blink of an eye, except, of course, if it's with Russia, they're allowed to take anything they wish. Who will deny the science of vaccines and allow you to die from diseases that have long since been eradicated. But you know what pro-life really is? And this is not what I intended to talk about tonight, but I really had to pull it together. I almost canceled this right up till the time that I turned the computer on, as I was openly just bawling through the house, crying through the house. You know what pro-life really is? It's saving a dog like Daisy from death for no other reason than because a town in Alabama didn't want to pay to feed her on a daily basis until somebody could give her a home. Because it was cheaper to stick a needle in her, put her down, throw the body in a pit, burn it. Pro-life is adopting her. Pro-life is taking a cat like Guy, who was on the street, and giving him a home. Well, actually, he's moved with me. He's moved with me 3 times. So I guess in a manner of speaking, I've given him 3 homes. And giving him a home for 18 years. That's pro-life. Pro-life is knowing that the only healthy meal a school-aged child has is the one they get at school, and not allowing them to starve in the summer or on snow days or during a pandemic. Pro-life is not trying to strip education from children, but enhancing it, making it more accessible, making it not just less expensive, but free, so that every child who wishes to take advantage of all that a good education can offer can be given them. That's pro-life. Pro-life is paying people enough so they can feed themselves, clothe themselves, have a home. And that home might be an apartment, might be a big house. The American way of life, the freedom of choice that we're supposed to have, allows us to make those choices. We want to live in a small apartment. We want to live on the top floor, the ground floor. We want to have a stacked condo or a townhouse or a single family home. We want to live out in the country or on a river, on a lake, on the shore, in the heart of the biggest city to the most rural mountainous area. That's choice. That's American. That's pro-life. So it might be hard to think, it might be hard to make the connection that the impending loss that we are facing here in our home is somehow political. And again, when I started this diatribe, admitting that it might be a character flaw, a self-character flaw, to make something like this political. But it just struck me that that's what life, pro-life, is really supposed to be about. It's not forcing women to give birth and then abandoning them simply because it's politically expedient, simply because a gaggle of people will vote for such things against their own self-interest and forgetting the fact that they're poor and that the rich people took it from them. Pro-life is saving that cat off the street, saving that dog from a kill shelter. It's supporting the mother who has a child. It's supporting the mother who doesn't choose to have a child. It's supporting that child with enough of an income to be sustained. It's supporting that mother to support that child, and father if there is one, or second mom, or grandma, or whatever constitutes a family. And there's so many different ways to constitute and define a family. And I want to take it one step further, even though I risk taking the entire hour on this tonight. I think pro-life, in a very strange way, also means the dignity of life. And the dignity to the end of life. Kristen and I will have to make a horrible decision. A decision I've made too many times in my life. We'll have to say goodbye to him. I don't think he's going to go on his own. But in a very strange way. And this might be the biggest stretch of my argument, and it might not be one that you agree with, and God knows nobody has to. Ultimately, I think the most pro-life thing we could do for him is know when to ease him and to end his suffering. I don't think his suffering is overwhelming right now, but it's coming. We will try to be strong enough. And I guess not selfish enough to make that decision sooner than later. Or maybe a hair too soon instead of way too late. And way too late comes very quick, by the way. It could be hours, it could be a day. But we'll have to make that decision. And we will. And when we do, he will be allowed to go with dignity. And without pain. Why don't we do that for people? Some countries do. There is assisted suicide in the Netherlands. I believe in Denmark. And I think the Scandinavian countries. Geez, what a shock. The lowland countries and the Scandinavian countries being ahead of us. Geez, who would have ever thought? I'm actually going to look for that right now. Countries with assisted. Oops. Wait, geez, my spelling is just... Austria, Belgium, Canada. I did not know. Luxembourg, the Netherlands, New Zealand, doesn't surprise me, Portugal, Spain, Switzerland. And there are even states in in this country that have it under certain circumstances. And I remember watching a documentary about it. I'm surprised, the Netherlands is mentioned there. I was going to say, I could have swore Denmark and the Scandinavian countries did as well. Obviously, I'm corrected myself. But we can make that choice for him with his input. I wonder why we can't do it for ourselves. The end of life movement has spread around the globe, and even though what I read off to you is not exactly a huge list, it's more than there used to be. And quite honestly, I would hope that I would have such choice. I think in a very, very strange way, that's pro-life. Is to not suffer, to not spend a family fortune for an extra month, 6 months, but to know when time is time, and to have the strength to say, enough is enough. That's what pro-life means to me. Anyway, let me see if I can get you quickly to the big story of the day. There continues to be this whinging and massive consternation about whether President Biden should continue in this race. And to be quite honest with you, I am not qualified to make that decision. I told you, I think it was last Wednesday. I think I might have mentioned it Monday as well. Honestly, the days are running together. I'm not sure. I happen to believe in my heart. Now, look, I don't know Joe Biden. He wouldn't know me if he tripped over me. And I don't know him. We don't spend Christmas together. We don't, exchange gifts. The one family vacation that we took to Rehoboth, we didn't stop by the house to say hello. It wasn't that kind of thing. I know him in a public way, the same way the rest of you do. I do believe in my heart that if he wakes up one morning and says, you know what, maybe this is not the right thing to continue to do, that he won't. That he will actually make the brave decision and say, you know what, this is not the right thing for me to be doing right now. We will be better off if I step aside. I think if he comes to that realization, he will step aside. What I am surprised at, and quite frankly angry at, is the media's obsession with it. Is it a big story when the incumbent president, who's been running for a year, decides to step aside, or that there are significant names pushing for that? Look, it's a properly big story. It's a headline story. And to be quite honest with you, the Trump campaign has done a very, very smart thing. They've done nothing before yesterday. And kind of let this story and the media's obsession with it dominate the news cycle. And I mean, you have to be, from a very purely political point of view, you have to be honest and say, pretty smart. And it is. It just is. It's good politics. Let the media tear the Democratic Party apart while I sit here and do nothing. Except for this part of it, which is completely unreported. the part of the doing nothing by the Trump campaign really is nothing new. He doesn't do much. He literally spent half his presidency on the golf course. On the rare occasion, and it got less and less frequent as the administration progressed, where the White House would actually release Trump's schedule for a day, there'd be huge blocks of time called executive time, which means he was sitting around doing F all. He had more days off in his first year than most presidents do in 4. So while there's a bit of really savvy politicalness, making a word, in the choice to do nothing, it's also par for the course, no pun intended. Trump held his first rally after the debate, nearly 2 weeks after the debate. He held his first rally last night. During said rally, he spoke, I believe, for about an hour. He went on several diatribes about Hannibal Lecter, about the environment, about his relationship with Mr. Putin. Huge sections of this rally where the people just sat in silence. He also had several instances during it where he completely lost his, tell me if this sounds familiar, where he completely lost his train of thought, didn't know what to say next, and slurred sentence after sentence. Not just a few words together, but slurred paragraphs. And the parts, of course, that were discernible were lies. I passed the Veterans Care Act. No, you didn't. President Obama did that. We had the cleanest air and water during my administration. No, you didn't. You tried to shut down the EPA. Nobody cares about nobody cares about education more than me. You put a woman in charge of the Department of Education who didn't believe the Department of Education should exist. And Project 2025 means to end public education, to fund it to a point where it cannot operate. And by the way, a few days ago on this program, I had someone mention in the chat, Trump denies Project 2025. He also denied he raped E. Jean Carroll, and a judge said he did. He denied that he'd committed fraud over the value of his properties and was found guilty in a court of law. He denied everything surrounding the election manipulation and hush money payments to Stormy Daniels and was convicted on all 34 felonies. He's denied openly talking about having sex with his daughter when she was still a teenager, and it's right on tape. So his so-called, I don't know what Project 2025 is. I don't know who wrote it. I had nothing to do with it, but I disagree with it. If you never read it, you don't know anything about it, how can you disagree with it? So you had this hour-plus long diatribe of lost thoughts, lies, slurred words, and yet nearly nothing in the media about it. This, should Biden drop out, or worse, if you're the New York Times, Biden should drop out, continues to be the big story of the day. And let's try to be fair about it. It's a damn big story. When LBJ decided not to seek a second term, it was the story for a long time. It kind of carried through the entire campaign of 68. because you had an open Democratic primary because the sitting president said he's not going to run for another term, which, by the way, LBJ was eligible for. Try to say that 10 times fast. Because he served the last year of the Kennedy presidency. A 4-year term was only 5. The Constitution allows 10 total. So he very well could have run for what would have been a second full term. So I can understand why this is a media story. Their oversaturation of it borders on staged. Why hasn't the media mentioned that after what was such a clear debate win, because they all told you it was a clear debate win, that Trump went back to Mar-a-Lago and played golf every day and did nothing? They didn't report on that. This wild, meandering stream of semi-consciousness that happened last night. Oh, by the way, right in Florida. No, it might have been in North Carolina. I might have that wrong. I might have the location wrong. We didn't report about that. From Lisa Mascaro of the Associated Press from Washington. Biden's candidacy faces new peril, including first Senate Democrat saying he should exit the race. Again, this is Lisa Mascaro of the Associated Press. All proper credit. President Joe Biden's imperiled re-election campaign hit new trouble Wednesday as House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi said merely, "It's up to the president to decide if he should stay in the race." Celebrity donor George Clooney said he should not run, and Democratic senators and lawmakers expressed fresh fear about his ability to beat Donald Trump. Late in the evening, Vermont Senator Peter Welch called on Biden to withdraw from the election, becoming the first U.S. senator, Democratic U.S. senator, to do so. Welch said he is worried because the stakes could not be higher. Now, the senator is 100% right about that. The stakes could not be higher. And here's something that I would say to you, which is going to sound almost ridiculous. And in my own head, it sounds ridiculous. But I'm going to, and it sounds like a very over protection of the president, if you will. But hear me out. Senator Welch is 100% correct. The stakes could not be higher. And that's almost why it doesn't matter who the Democratic nominee is. It could be President Biden. It could be Vice President Harris. It could be Gavin Newsom. It could be Gretchen Whitmer. It could be Elizabeth Warren, whom I still think gets overlooked at an alarming rate. At a staggering rate, she is ignored. It could be someone who I think will run for president at some point. I think would make a damn fine one. Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland. It doesn't really matter who the Democratic nominee is this year. If Trump regains the White House, if Republicans should happen to take control of both chambers of the Congress, Project 2025 will be fully implemented by this time next year, and democracy in this country ends. And the federal government, as we know it, will cease to exist. So the Democratic nominee could be fill in the blank. The old election joke, I wrote in Mickey Mouse. It could be bloody Mickey Mouse. It could be Hillary Clinton, Gavin Newsom. I already named a lot of those names. Could be Bernie Sanders. Could be Cory Booker. Could be Watch Westmore. I think Westmore's going to be president one of these days. It could be any one of those folks. The importance that it is any of those folks other than Trump is inescapable. Folks, make no mistake, Trump and the people behind him are fascists. If you don't know what fascism is, look it up. Trump admires people like Hitler and Mussolini, except he doesn't have a tenth of the charisma. Or the planning and strategy, for that matter. It's all the people around him. If you thought Reagan was a puppet, whoo-hoo. So I continue to believe that this president will make the right decision. He simply hasn't gotten there yet. At this moment, he believes the best thing for him, for the Democratic Party, and for this country is for him to continue to be the nominee. And he is the nominee. But I do truly believe if he should wake up one morning, look in the mirror and go, I have to drop out. And if he should come to that realization, he will drop out. I believe it in my heart. But the bottom line is, no matter who the Democratic nominee ends up being, the Republicans must be stopped. Period. Period. I have not called for President. Listen, President Biden is not laying awake at night waiting to hear what I think. He's not. But I have not called for him to drop out. I don't know if it is the right thing or not. I truly don't. It sounds like a pretty, simple thing to say. Like, oh, well, you punted. You didn't really say one way or the other. Because to be quite honest with you, I don't know what's right. I don't know. I can make an easy case for him to drop out would be better. I can make a case for that he stays in would be better. It's arguable either way. I don't know which is better. Because I can make really good cases, either column, either way. All I would say is, whatever the final decision is, it better come soon. This can't continue to drag out. Tom mentions right now history has shown us that every time an incumbent president has dropped out of a race, the Republican candidate won. Most notably 68. The only difference I would say about 68 is that if Bobby Kennedy had not been assassinated, I believe he would have been the nominee and he would have been president. And this country would not be where it is today. If Bobby Kennedy had served 2 terms as president, 68 and 72, you have no Vietnam, you have a renewal of the New Deal. I'm not sure you have a Ronald Reagan and 40 plus years of oligarchy if Bobby Kennedy had not been assassinated. So let's hear what you think. If you have any additional comments to throw in quick, it is 9 o'clock. We should be wrapping up. I spent so much time on my own personal stuff, and I should give you a few extra minutes. There is no one on GCPR coming up immediately after us. Please remember that T. Nathan. Conversations with T. Nathan comes up at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So you got a little break. Get a glass of milk, get some cookies, make some popcorn, watch whatever it is that you watch in between, take the dog for a walk, whatever you need to do. Just stick around or come back to GCPR. Link in the chat like I usually do. And check out Conversations with T. Nathan from 11 p.m. Sound of Coffee tomorrow morning, live from 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And let me look at the schedule real quick. Thursday. Us at 8, Superplex Party from 9. Conversations with T. Nathan from 11. So about 8 to, what are we looking at? 8. At least 4 straight hours of live programming tomorrow evening. And please always remember, if you should miss any live programming on GCPR, you can find it on our YouTube channel, which is GCPR. Just search GCPR anywhere. I want to put this comment up because I think it's quite interesting. Someone who's watching this on Twitch, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Truly. Thank you. Thanks for checking us out. You might love the program. You might hate it. You might watch us all the time. You might never watch again, but you gave us a chance tonight, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you. I certainly don't like Trump, but he's far more capable than Biden at this point. Capable of what? Let me respectfully ask. Capable of what? Destroying the country? Damn straight. Ending democracy? He's extremely capable of it. Allowing Russia to march across Europe? Perfectly capable of that. Continuing to grift and make billions by being president? Sell the government out from under us? He's perfectly capable of that. Allowing the billionaires and the fundamentalist white fascist Christian nationalists, which I refer to as the American Taliban, to become the religious police of this country. You know, we look at Iran, and we look at Saudi Arabia with their religious police, where women can be beaten in the street if they're not fully covered. And we think, how third world, how inhuman, how uncivilized. It's coming here, especially if Trump regains the White House. And I'm not ever going to solely focus on the White House. Trump might very well get reelected to the White House. And if by and the electoral map is not kind, if the Democrats should hold the Senate, or what I think is much more likely, retake the House, then that blunts what he wants done. The Senate, arguably even more important than the House. Republicans take the Senate, Trump goes back to the White House, the judiciary in this country will be altered for generations. Plural. But I would only ask, capable of what? Of what? Honestly, capable of what? Liberty says we won't let Trump destroy democracy. I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. I'm not here to allow it either. But I mean, I have to ask when I see it, and I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to jump all over you. I'm not. I'm asking a question. Questions are how we learn things from each other. It's how we have discussions. When you say he's more capable of what? There's another comment in there from you that my take on what Trump could do if he's reelected is silly. He won't do that. He can't. He's already done it. Take a look at the Supreme Court. He's already helped degrade the federal government. This court reversed Roe. In the Chevron decision, arguably removed the regulatory oversight powers of the executive branch departments. You know, I read today there's a recall on cheese and chicken for salmonella. And listeria, I think, is the other one. I might have that wrong. Because the FDA ordered it. The Chevron decision arguably removes the FDA from having such regulatory authority because the original charter of the FDA didn't specifically say that they could recall cheese that makes people sick. That's how narrowly defined the Chevron decision is. You need to look it up. Not because you're stupid, not because I'm making fun. I'm asking you, please. Google Project 2025 and then Google the Chevron decision. Now, you could read the whole decision. I happen to find Supreme Court decisions to be very tedious reading. Very tedious reading. But there are shorter articles that are interpretive statements like you would find for a ballot question. Read those. Read those. You're just mistaken that these things can't happen. They've already begun. Since the senatorial elections in Georgia that put Senators Ossoff, I almost said that wrong, and Senator Warnock, two Democratic senators from Georgia for the first time since, I don't even remember, to be honest with you. Another 680,000 people have been purged from the voting rolls. Overwhelmingly black. And almost exclusively Democratic voters. Well, the Biden campaign thinks it still has a chance in Georgia. Stacey Abrams continues to try to protect those folks and register even more. But just read Project 2025, Liberty Twitcher. Please read it. Please read it. It strips the federal government down to just about the Department of Defense and very little else. It makes the Department of Justice a direct report. It removes all of the independence of the Department of Justice. It does what the president said. It becomes the personal defense attorneys of the president. It ends public education. It ends Social Security, ends Medicare and Medicaid. It institutes a draft. A soft draft. Now, you already have to register for the Selective Service when you become 18. It's federal law. I did it 1,000 years ago when I turned 18. It scared the crap out of me. It institutes a new level of draft registration. Not sending you straight to boot camp. It's just a little more active. It's a little more involved. I believe there's a test you have to take or something like that. These are real things. You may not agree with them. You might think to yourself that our country would never become that. We're this close. We are this close. The only president who has nominated and had confirmed more judges than Trump did in his 4 years is Joe Biden. And if he didn't, I can't even imagine where we'd be today. It would be The Handmaid's Tale. Or damn close to it. And we already are damn close to it. So I'm just asking you, you don't have to agree with me. Nobody ever has to agree with me. You and I are having a conversation, and I'm honored by it. I'm very glad that you're here. I hope you keep coming back. But these are real things. Real things. Tom reminds me of what it is. The added part of the draft registration is the following. You can see it right on the screen. An aptitude test for the military, but only public school kids, not the private school kids. So the rich white kids, you're excluded. Poor white kids, black kids, Hispanic kids, you're all cannon fodder. You're all collateral damage. You're all human assets. George, I was wondering if there's anything that you wanted to add before we said goodnight. Because we are technically 15 minutes over, if you're there.
Shame on you for being over. No, sorry.
Yeah, I know. Reminiscent of another station. If you missed it, by the way, folks, George and Gilbert hosted their second episode of the Help Desk. If you work in corporate America, you know what the Help Desk is. It's the IT department. You call them whenever you have a problem with your computer. Well, Tuesday nights, every single Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, here on GCPR, is the Help Desk with George and Gilbert, where they take your questions, your comments, have a conversation with them about computers. You need help with your home computer? Call the Help Desk. We have a Help Desk. GCPR has a Help Desk. Check it out. It's there for you. 6 p.m., 6 to 8 p.m. Tuesdays. Seems like a crazy thing for me to tell you only one night after they were there, but I'm reminding you. The Help Desk is on Tuesdays on GCPR from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We very much hope that you will check it out, because you should, because George is there and Gilbert is there, and they can ask, well, they can answer. You ask the questions, they answer them.
And it was me just blathering on.
That's why people
about my,
send.
and I'm sorry, I just had to apologize to Gilbert and to everybody else, but just me blathering on about my time at Intel. So that's about it.
Quick IT related things. Stay on here, George.
Here we go.
So on Monday night, especially if you're familiar with our Sunday program, you'll know that we go live on all, like everything, like our live start, if you will, is 6 p.m. on Sundays. That's when we push the button for the radio side, and everything is kind of live at the same time. On the video platforms of our social media platforms that we share to, or that we broadcast on, I should say, we do that a little bit early. It could be anywhere from 10 minutes early to sometimes 3 to 5 minutes early. We get up, we check, we make sure we're there, and then I share, especially the Facebook part, we share to as many as 150 other groups that I and our program are a part of. Well, I was doing that on Monday. At the very beginning of the program, sometimes when you watch the program, you'll see me looking down. It's because I have my phone with me. It gives me a chance to quickly Google things, check myself, things like that. That said, I was sharing on Monday and got stopped like I usually do. I get blocked. This time I got blocked for 6 days. I will not, even if I'm here with you on... it's funny, it said I'm blocked for 5 more days, but that I can't share again until... Oh, well, no, that makes sense. Today's the 10th. I can't do any sharing again until the 15th of July. So we are asking you out there, our YouTube audience, our growing Twitch audience, We do very well on LinkedIn, which is a surprise to me. We don't get comments in from it. Actually, we can't get comments in from it for some reason. Streamlabs doesn't allow it. I can't tell you why. But we do well there, and we can only go onto Facebook on my personal Facebook, and I can't share it anywhere. So we're asking you, everywhere that you can see us, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, Twitter. Oh, we're on Twitter again tonight. Yay. Please share the program. You don't have to love us. You don't have to agree with us. If you enjoy it at all, even if you scream at me the whole time, even if you think he's not a great host, but you're here and you're with us, I hope that you'll give us a like, a subscribe. I hope you'll share the program out. We count on you more than ever. And this new venture of GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, we will grow based on your help, and we hope that you will continue to do that. That's about all the damage that we can do for one evening. We will be back with you tomorrow evening from 8 p.m. That's the plan. If we're not going to be here, I will post it on our Facebook group, home group, Facebook page, that other side of information, because it's just a very unsettled home situation. So, but I'll keep we'll keep you up to date. Our plan is to be back here with you tomorrow evening. So until then, I look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much for everybody at GCPR, for Thomas, for Gambit, Gilbert, Ben, Brett, T. Nathan, Pastor Best, Bob Kosh. I don't think I'm missing anybody. I don't think so. If I am, they'll let me know. Ooh, don't you worry about that. They will let me know. For everybody associated with the Kennedy Effect, of course, Lynn and George Dare, for April Riddick, who's responsible for starting this program, and for Kristen, Daisy the dog, and I very much hope Guy the cat downstairs. I won't be able to say that for too much longer. Could be tomorrow, could be Friday, but could be next week. I'm hoping we can make it to the next week. I don't know why. I just have next week in my head. Just want another week with him. Well, I want 10 more years, but I'm not getting that. But for him, something I should say at the end of every program, and I forget almost every single time. You know, one of the great things I think Bob Barker used to do at the end of every program, and he got made fun of a lot for it, is that he would say, help control the pet population, have your pet spayed or neutered. Well, he was right. We should do that. I would just take it one step further and ask you, don't shop ever. Do not buy dogs and cats. Adopt them. Thousands of dogs and cats are put to sleep every single day because they can't find homes. Never, never, never shop. Please adopt. Grow your family. The saddest thing, and the thing that I will take to my grave, which I pray is soon, and I say this all the time because I very much believe it to be true. Guy has given me and us way more. Way, way, way more than I have given him. And I talked to my mom tonight, and she said, you saved him from the street. He would have died in the street. Very well, he may have. Instead, he's been with me for 17, 18 years. But he's given me way more. It's exactly why it's so cruel. It's a very, very cruel thing. So for everybody at GCPR, for Lynn and George, for Kristen, Daisy, and my sweet boy, that's all the damage we can do for one night. Please have a great rest of your night, and we will see you tomorrow.